Welcome back into the Sporting News studio. I'm Stephen Levine with Tom Vandervoort on my left, and in the middle is Matt Crossman, writer for the Sporting News. And Matt,
you're crazy.
You're writing a column, and you're basically saying that fuel mileage racing is the best thing ever.
I think you're getting carried away.
Okay,
That's not exactly what I said. I said people should stop whining about it, that there's actually some merit to it.
Okay, what is the merit, in your opinion, of fuel mileage racing?
Well, there are three things I would say. That everyone says NASCAR's a team sport, and this proves that you have to have an engine that can get good fuel mileage while going fast enough to stay ahead of everybody. Those aren't easy to make. You have to have a crew chief with the cojones to make such a call, because you're basically telling your driver, go for it, and by saying go for it, you're actually meaning take it easy. So that's telling a driver to go completely against his instincts. That takes courage to make that decision, because if you lose a fuel mileage race, you look like a doof. And then finally, you need a driver.
A doof, eh?
Yeah, that's a technical term. It's like peck, only different. Finally, you need a driver who's got the skill to do that. And not many of them do. And you'll note that Tony Stewart has won the last two, and he's widely considered one of the top 2 or 3 most talented, if not #1, talented drivers in the sport.
Well, certainly there is a skill to saving gas.
Certainly.
But there's also the question of what mileage is my engine, what kind of mileage is my engine getting? Last year at New Hampshire, Tony Stewart's engine wasn't getting enough mileage. But the thing I got to say is, well, I agree with you that fuel mileage races have merit. If they were all fuel mileage races, it wouldn't really be NASCAR racing. If they were all fuel mileage races, because what do we need in NASCAR racing? We need guys to pass each other. We need guys to pass each other and try to pass each other. And if you take it down to fuel mileage, you kind of lose that, don't you?
Well, I think that's stating as a fact that there's no passing in fuel mileage races, which just quite frankly isn't true. Because
there's passing because some guy runs out of gas or some guy has to slow down more than the other guy. I mean, that's not battling for position.
So now
that's not racing hard for position.
So now you get to decide whether a pass is worth it based on the circumstances that led to the pass. I mean, at some point
I'm not deciding that. I'm telling you it's not that interesting.
At some point we have to say, boy, NASCAR fans would bitch if they were hung with a new rope. That they complain about everything. I mean, you just said the passes aren't the kind of passes I want, even though they are passes.
Are you telling me that Matt Kenseth saying I got to save a lot of gas, so I'm going to let this guy pass me, is as exciting as 2 guys battling for position? Is that what you're telling me?
If he ends up winning the race because he saved gas and the other guy runs out? I mean, why isn't that a quality move by him?
It's a quality move.
Okay.
What I'm telling you is it's not as exciting.
Nobody's saying, boy, I hope every race comes down to fuel.
Well, didn't you say that, though? It's just as good? It's just as good.
I think there should be a mix.
Okay.
I'm saying quit whining about the fuel mileage racing.
Are you saying that only with fuel mileage racing do we really see the team aspect of NASCAR?
That is preposterous. Of course I'm not saying that. I'm saying it is one way to reveal the team aspect of NASCAR that people completely overlook. But no, obviously, if you can go 900,000 miles an hour and blow everybody away, yeah, that takes a team too.
And what about like the Ford engines, which are just inherently worse on fuel mileage than the Chevy and Toyota engines? Is that just, well, they need to take that into account when
of course
planning for the season?
It's part of the season. And I don't think inherently is the right word. They're created that way.
Here's where I think
Ford is doing something not as good as the others if they're consistently getting beat in a particular area of the sport. It's that simple.
I agree with you there. Now, here's what I would say the issue is. It's not so much whether or not fuel mileage races are legitimate or not legitimate, because I agree with you. They're legitimate. The issue is a sport that could possibly be, and I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but could possibly be out of balance with more of an emphasis on strategy, things like track position and fuel mileage, versus things like speed, right? And that's where I think you get baseball, you introduce steroids, and you throw the sport out of whack, right? It still takes skill to hit home runs. You just get a lot more of them, right? And it throws the sport out of whack. I think the question in this case isn't are fuel mileage races legitimate or illegitimate, is that is strategy now becoming too much of a factor in winning these races? I don't know what the answer is, but I think that's the question that the race fan should be interested in. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, and I guess I'm not sure how you take strategy out. There's no...
Well, I wouldn't take it out.
But what's happening is
keep it in its place.
On the back of the cot, which becomes so aero-dependent and track position becomes such a force to be reckoned with because of the cot and the way the car is built. When you add to that harder tires that you don't have to manage the same way, that don't have as much fall off, that contributes to fuel mileage and track position type races, you've got this pyramid effect with one stair built on top of the next stair. So it's all adding up to perhaps more strategy style races than what would be ideal.
I will say this, though. We could be overreacting to that. When you get 2 in a row, it's natural to overreact. And I think that's what you're kind of saying.
NASCAR fans, they don't overreact. Ever. They never have, ever. But there are a couple of points to make about the seeming preponderance this year, which there is. Changes that are coming that will mitigate that to a little. Next year, we're going to fuel injection. And I was talking to Denny Hamlin yesterday, and he said that the way the the fuel injection is going to work is you're going to be able to manipulate your engine more than you can now to either
trade off mileage and horsepower.
So the cars won't all be, built to run the same way, almost like the Indy cars have the different uses of fuel.
So you'll be able to make a more active choice.
Right.
Like that.
And the body change, which I think it's not next year,
2013.
but 2013.
Yep.
There's some thought that the aero changes that will introduce will make even more changes. And I would bet that after this season, probably, it sounds strange, but NASCAR being what it is, with all the complaining about how good the tires are, they will go backwards and make the tires worse so they wear out more, so that the idea of going 50 laps on one set of tires to conserve fuel, you can't do that because the tires get so bad you either can't control it or they
at least you got to
tire.
manage your tires during the run. At least you have to make a choice. If you run them off at the beginning of the run, you're going to go backwards at the end of the run.
That just doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
All right, that's Matt Crossman. He wants you to quit your whining.
Quit your belly aching.
And just enjoy the races. Just watch the races. Be a fan.
Or you could be me and you could just go, ow, ow.
Was your belly ache?
No, it's the fuel mileage races. They're killing me, man. Oh, God, ow.